Hari Om. So Bhagavan says that 4 types of devotees, they worship me: Artha, Artharthi, Jidnyasu and Jnani. And out of them, the Jnani is supreme because he is my own self. But others are also good, but Jnani is my own self. Jnani is the one who has recognized and understood the nature of God, and he is now ready to surrender. He surrenders. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate. Jnani is one who ultimately surrenders to that supreme reality and comes to understand and realize that that alone is everything. Vasudevas sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. So ultimately one has to surrender to that supreme reality whom we call Brahma or God. Before we surrender, we have to understand our own nature, understand the nature of that supreme. So after following the initial sadhana of karma yoga, upasana, jnana, dhyana, a person becomes fit to surrender to that supreme. Lot of desires are there in our mind which prevents us from surrendering. We feel that we will lose something. Let me fulfill these desires first. So in order to fulfill these desires, we worship the little powers of the main supreme God. So Anya Devata, the little devatas, they are the little, they have limited power and limited authority and all. And one worships them in order to fulfill their special desires. Bhagavan says, with whatever faith one worship these devatas, I make that faith very strong. I make that faith strong in them. And whatever desires are fulfilled through them, they are really given by me only. Labhate cha tatak kaman mayeva vihitan hitan. I only fulfill their desires through those devatas. But unfortunately, if one worships these devatas considering them little and only for the fulfillment of their little desires, maximum they attain what those devatas are capable of giving them. But one who worships me, Bhagavan says, comes to me. So Devan Devayajo Yanti Mad Bhakta Yanti Mamapi. The effort required is the same, but one who worships those devatas, it is like our, sometimes that example is given of electricity. Electricity is same, it depends on what type of equipment you use. So if I use a tiny little bulb with less power, then I get less light. I cannot blame the electricity, but I am invoking and taking out only less from that. But if I want, I can take more. So similarly, I just invoke these little devatas to fulfill my little demands. Those little demands, we with our own intellect may think that they are great demands. They are like, if that is fulfilled, I will be the happiest person. But Bhagavan says nothing like that, because every result is temporary. Because all results are the product of some karma, so karma itself is temporary, and every result is temporary. Even if one gains an object that gets lost, or gains some position that also gets lost, even if one goes to a higher loka, even if one becomes Indra, that is also a temporary result. But being Indra, one may feel great joy temporarily. One may get that joy of having all the powers over all the other gods, but that is also extremely temporary with respect to this eternity. Therefore, Bhagavan says that they are alpamedasa, they are of little understanding, little intellect. So they worship these devatas. But one who surrenders to me and worships me, he attains me. So mad bhakta yanti mamapi. Here I doesn't mean a particular devata like Krishna, but we are talking about that Brahma. So Bhagavan Krishna is talking as Brahma, not as a particular individual or particular avatar of Bhagavan, but as that Brahma alone. Therefore, when he talks about himself, he talks about himself as Brahma. Maya tatamidam sarvam. He says, I pervade everything, and these are my prakritis, apara, apara. So he is talking as Brahma. So he says, one who worships me as Brahma, he attains me. And one who worships other devatas, they attain the other devatas. So why we fail to worship and surrender to that Supreme Lord? What is the problem? That is again discussed in the next verse, verse number 24. Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mama buddhayah param bhavamajanantah mama vyayamanutamam avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mama buddhayah bhavamajanantah mama vyayamanutamam. Even as Bhagavan Sri Krishna, he is not just a limited human being, but is Sakshat Ishvara, Sakshat Brahma. So Bhagavan says that many do not recognize me as that Supreme Ishvara. Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mam abuddhayah. Those who are abuddhayah, of little understanding, of little intellect, they don't recognize me as that Supreme Ishvara who is avyaktam. And they feel that recently he is born and he is a limited individual. As Bhagavan Sri Krishna also is speaking here. So as Krishna, he is born in a particular time, in a particular place, with the parents and all. So many look at him as an individual, as a human being only. So avyaktam, though he is infinite and unmanifest, vyaktimapannam manyante. The ignorant consider him as an ordinary person. In fact, during Bhagavan's time, only a few could recognize him as Sakshat Ishvara only. But others, they took him as an ordinary individual. And like Duryodhana and all his people, or even Arjuna also, he thought he is just my friend. Later on, even now he is speaking to him as his friend. But later on, Bhagavan showed him his Virat Roop. Then he came to understand that he is not just a limited being, but he is that Ishvara, Sakshat Ishvara. So not one of the reasons why one doesn't surrender to God, because we don't understand his supreme nature. And we take the manifestation as something which is real, and we get attracted towards the manifestation only. Even this world, which is Vyakta, which can be comprehended with our eyes, with our senses, is an expression of that Ishvara only, of that Brahma, who is Avyakta. So Avyakta means unmanifest, subtle, beyond all comprehension, alone appears like this world. Therefore, about the world and about all beings, and even about the avatar of Bhagwan, it is said that it is merely an appearance. Really, God is beyond that appearance also. He is beyond, a little subtle point is revealed here, he is beyond that appearance also. See, there are these terms used like Sat, Asat, and Mithya. Again, three have come. Sat means that which is real. Asat means that which is unreal. And Mithya means illusion. So when we talk about Brahma, we say that he is Sat. And when we talk about the world and all the manifestation which one sees, we talk about it as Mithya. Mithya, that term, doesn't mean that it is absolutely not there. It means that it is there for our experience, it is appearing, but it is not real. It is merely an appearance. But it is there for our experience. For example, our dream. Our dream, we cannot say it is Sat because it gets destroyed. Sat is that which should not get destroyed, which should not get negated. That is called Sat. Dream cannot be called Sat because it gets negated. Whatever you experience and whatever you gain, when you wake up, it is not there. But at the time of our dream, when we are dreaming, we experience it. So it is not totally Asat also. It is not unreal also. So what is it? It's called Mithya, means an appearance, an illusion. Many people are afraid of this term, illusion and all. But it is like that. So Bhagwan, that Brahma, with his power of this Maya, with his Apara and Para Prakriti, appears like this world. He doesn't actually become the world, but he appears like the world. He appears like this entire cosmos with all the beings, and even his avatar is also appearance. But when we look at this world, we interact with it, we start slowly taking it as very much real. Each and everything of this world becomes very real to us. And the more real it becomes, the more we get attracted and attached to it. One of the main reasons for attachment is that one takes it as real. For example, you are on let us say on the sea beach, and then you see something shining on the beach. So one feels, oh, nice shining thing. Must be silver. So slowly that fellow sits there and picks it up and puts it in his pocket. After some time he removes and looks at it, and then he comes to know that it is just a shell which was shining because of the light of the sun. So as soon as he comes to know that it is he just drops it. So a shell was appearing like silver because of some condition of light, and because he was attracted toward the silver, he picked it up and all. But when he came to know that it is just merely a shell, worthless, he just dropped it. Similarly, this whole world, with all our experiences, with all people around us, with all our ups and downs, with all our happiness and sorrow, with the multitude of lokas and all, is an appearance. Nothing bad about it. It's the most fascinating thing. Even slowly, the science also is accepting the appearance nature of this world. What appears is not really like that. Even something which we call solid is merely just the vibration of these electrons and all. So, this divine power, what we call Maya, is that which makes things appear. And that appearance is so fascinating that one gets attracted towards it. So Bhagavan says this is all because of abuddhi, not knowing. That not knowingness is there in us, and because of that not knowing, one gets attracted and takes that thing which is merely appearance as real and gets attached to it. Or even when we talk about God or some power, we think that they are just limited in a particular place or limited by a particular form. So thinking about God also as having taken a form, one looks at him as a limited individual and doesn't surrender. So Bhagavan says, Avyaktam, I am avyakta, I am beyond all this form, beyond manifestation. But Vyaktimapannam manyante abuddhayaha, but an ignorant person or ignorant people take me as having a form. And not knowing my param bhavam ajanantaha, not recognizing my divine and supreme nature. Even from an individual standpoint, even we are like manifestation of God only. We are, all of us are in a way avatar of Bhagavan. All of us. We don't have to think about Krishna and Rama alone as avatar. All of us are manifestation, expressions of God. But what I am seeing and what I am experiencing is not the real I. It is just an appearance of I. But because of my misunderstanding or lack of proper power of discrimination, I take what appears as real and get so much involved in it that I fail to surrender to that supreme reality. Therefore, great Mahatmas like Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi and all, he says that you inquire, who is this I? Don't just accept your own self on just face value, but inquire, who is this I? Who am I? Because one thing is clear, that I must be something different from idam. So who is this I who is experiencing this world? So if you keep on inquiring subjectively, going deeper and deeper, you will be able to recognize your own self. So this is the main reason why, for taking the illusory world as real, one gets attached to it and fails to surrender to that Lord. In simple language, what our world and our life and our problem become so important to us that we fail to surrender to Bhagavan. And even when we talk about surrender, we talk about, we pray to Him to solve these problems only. We are not talking about transcending it, we are just talking to Him, requesting Him to resolve some of our issues so that I continue with our samsara. So, param bhavam ajanantaha. Therefore, it was said that if one doesn't know God, one cannot surrender to Him completely. You can only surrender if one knows. So, knowing that jnanavan mam prapadyate is very important. So, param bhavam ajananta. And you see that even in the 11th chapter, when Arjuna sees and recognizes the the cosmic form of Lord, automatic that sense of surrender comes to him. He drops his own little selfishness and surrenders to that Lord. So he is param bhavam, his bhava, his nature is param, superior to all that we experience. Like again, to take the example of the rope and snake, we can't proceed in Vedanta without rope and snake. So I think we should keep one snake also. I'm not snake, a rope. Anyway, so rope is there and the snake is seen. As long as that snake is seen and taken as real, the rope remains hidden. The rope and the snake, they together don't appear. The appearance of the snake happens when the rope disappears. It's very interesting. The snake appears only when the rope disappears. And the rope appears when the snake disappears. They play hide and seek with each other. If one is told that, oh, go and pick up that rope, he will pick up only if he is certain that there is no snake but rope only. Even if one is seeing that snake and is told that, okay, go and pick up, if he has intellectually appreciated, yeah, it is not a snake but rope, then he will go there. So only when I know the nature of God, I will surrender. I will surrender to him. So param bhavam ajanantaha, not knowing my supreme nature. Even in all the religions, they talk about God. They talk about his nature as compassionate, as just, as all-knowing. But those are also his manifest nature, means his sagun roop. Our Upanishad talk about his nirgun nirakar roop also, which is beyond all form. Because all forms and all qualities are with respect to the Prakriti. When we say God is kind, we are talking about that Brahma plus Prakriti only. When we say he is all powerful, we are talking about him with the help of Prakriti only. When we say the electricity is very bright, we are talking about it with respect to the bulb which we are using. By itself, electricity is neither bright, nor hot, nor it has got any sound. But when we apply the equipment, we get the heat, light, and all sound, and everything comes. So, Bhagavan says, not knowing my param bhava, person doesn't surrender to me. Ajanantaha mama avvyayam, that I am avvay, that I am immutable, changeless. There is no change happening in my real nature. And here when we talk about God, he is not different from our own self. So our self is changeless. We have seen this in the second chapter also. The nature of the self, it is immutable, changeless, deathless, cannot be destroyed in any way. So not understanding that avvay and that supreme nature of myself, a person of little intellect take me as a limited being, or take this world as a limited object, or take their own body as a limited, their own personality as a limited being, and because of this, they fail to surrender. They don't surrender. And why they have this ignorance, why that buddhi is what you call not very bright. And Bhagavan says in the next verse, he says, Naham prakashas sarvasya yogamaya samavratah Modhoyam nabhijanati Loko mamajam avyayam Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavrita. Loko mamajam avyayam. Bhagavan says, Na aham prakashah sarvasya. I am not revealed to all. Why? Yogamaya samavritaha. Because all beings are under the influence of my Yogamaya. Influence of this Maya. Influence of this Rajogun, Tamogun, and it is so strong that because of which that real nature of the Lord is not very clear to many, except Bhagavan's these devotees, jnani devotees. Others, they do not appreciate the nature of God. I am not very easily available. I am hidden. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritaha. And this is the most amazing power of Bhagavan. That though He is there, all of us are in fact of the nature of God, but still we don't recognize it because of this yogamaya only. It's a strange power. Delusory power. Just as people get deluded by some alcohol and all, and they don't recognize themselves, but at least it goes away and then they start recognizing that I am here sitting in the gutter. Then he gets up and goes home. But this delusory power remains from lifetime, from one lifetime to other, it remains. So this power of Tamogun makes us unaware of our own self. When I talk about I, our attention doesn't go deeper than our mind or deeper than our intellect. It remains on our body and a little bit of our mind, intellect and all, or little bit our sanskar. If someone asks you, who are you? Whatever we talk about ourselves is about our body, our mind, our intellect, our memories, our relatives, our achievements. All of them are the outer form of this outer form only. They do not in any way convey my real nature at all. It's like little children, if they ask about some tattva, they will keep talking about the outer form only. Like little children playing in the mud, making, or in the sand, making different forms and all. If you ask what is this, they will just talk about those forms only. Nobody will say it is sand. They will say, oh, this is this is my brother, and this is a dog, and this is a cat, and this is this. They will talk about the form. Similarly, when we are asked, who am I? Or when we ask ourselves, who am I? We only consider ourselves as a body,